Yo, I'm gonna show you how I mix this song, Streetlights, with Spoofy. This shit is top notch. So check out the song, link in the description for direct access to the SoundCloud and YouTube. It is not on all plats yet. It will be at some point. But pretty as you can tell by the stems, it's not a very big song. That doesn't mean it doesn't hit. So we're gonna start with my section, and then we're gonna work our way down to Spoofy's verse, which is over here. So first thing normally is I'd get the key of the beat and all that, and then I would turn on autotune and record into autotune. 0 retune speed, always, almost always, but most of the time. And then I have this free plugin, this gate, and a Nectar de-esser on top of my autotune, because I like my vocals to, go into everything, the processing, gated and also limited harsh frequencies. So after that, it would sound like this. Tell me what you've been on. I really don't care at all. I was stuck inside a shadow. Already just, kind of cool sounding. Then after that, we threw on our first surgical EQ. Didn't really do too much, just cut it. A few frequencies I didn't like. Let you hear those. Why you acting like you never know? Just some frequencies I didn't like. And then on the side, nothing, because it's not stereoed yet. And then after that, we threw on my signature sauce, which is this channel strip. I mean, you can call it a channel strip. It's more just like a little sweet, but Xbox Pro. 18% on the widener, 24% on the enhancer. These are the reverb settings with the new retro reverb. Brit clean, also a new EQ and a new dynamics. Here, 25, no de-essing, slight gate, EQ bells and curves and stuff. Basically just changes always. This is not like a one size shoe fits all, but these two are kind of always going to be retro, large room. It really depends, but this is my favorite one by far. Retro, and then pitch widener. It's always really good, but they got a lot of options here. Same with the dynamics. Now it sounds like this. Alright, I guess so. Why you acting like you never know? Still sounds not there yet. There's still some frequencies that are just popping through, and that's where this final EQ comes in, both mid and side. So this one tackles the stereo, or excuse me, this one tackles the mono, and this one tackles the stereo. So after that, it sounds like this. Then the final finishing touches, we threw on a Fab Filter multiband to bring up a few and duck a few little groupings, and threw on a limiter at 6 decibels, minus 6 decibels. And now we have this. I thought it was alright, I guess so. Why you acting like you never know? And you'd think, okay, well, that still sounds like alright. How are we going to make it punch? How do we bring it through the mix? Because we hear it with the beat, which I also threw these 3 plugins on. I don't normally put stuff on the beat, but I kind of mastered the beat on top of this. Like, I did a lot on this song. I added some tape, and auto key is gone because I got a updated version. And soft clipper, just to clip it. Now it sounds like this. Still really loud, right? That's because there's no master. Everything is off the master except the clipper, which we'll get to after. So after that, I routed it to my bus channel, which is basically a brick wall compressor, either a chorus or a flanges, and then saturation. And it sounds like this. Mute that beat. I thought it was alright, I guess so. Why you acting like you never know? Basically just pushes it to the front of the mix a lot more. Makes it easier to just hear. So after that, that's basically the entire mix. I then took that exact template and split it into 2 other channels for the backgrounds and ad-libs.
Ooh, I don't.
Basically the same mix. Auto-tune, threw it into the same EQ curves. Different, made it a little wider, different delay and reverb. More reverb, or excuse me, more delay for this one. A vintage tube for, what was this one? Yes, this is like the ad-libs portion. So no ducking on the delay, so it really comes through. Dynamics, still the Mobius, probably the best one. That and smooth. Cut the lows a bit, boost up that high. And this is the other EQ. Cut a few low mids. Boost some highs, cut some S's, because there actually is no de-essing on this. And I added this plugin, which is basically a reverb panning delay plugin. It's really good. I advise you get it. So this is what it does. Oops. What it does. Back and forth. And then after that, effects and space. I don't know why I added another. I already have a delay on it. I think that's a mistake. I don't know if that's supposed to be there. And then obviously a limiter. Push it down to minus 8.5. Drop the gain a little bit. So it sits in a pocket. And with the vocals, sounds like this.
I really don't care at all. I was stuck inside a shadow.
Cool. So, for the final stem up until Spoofy's verse, we have these. Yeah, I forgot which channel they are. It's these ones.
She's out the ketamine.
Just background vocals, basically. Obviously, gate, auto-tune, same EQ curve, just because I liked how it sounded off the rip. Xvox threw it into a massive space with a 1/4 delay. Same widening and enhancing as the previous, but different dynamics and a little bit of de-essing and harsher air on the vintage setting. And lows, mids, highs, all boosted to my liking. And after that, just another EQ, personalized EQ, not just a default EQ, to make these vocals sit. So, look at it. That's what it does.
She's out the ketamine. You were so dead to me.
Basically, I'd say it's simple shit, but really, it is and isn't. And then the finishing touch for this is obviously a limiter, but the signature sound that you will hear in the song is a heavy tube saturator.
She's out the ketamine.
To just distort
You were
it.
so dead to me.
Now, with everything, the vocals sound like this.
She's out the ketamine. You were so dead to me. Streetlights illuminate what's in the shadows. Months went on and on, it was a battle. Moments like this, so why I stay so fucking fragile. Won't catch me.
Cool, right? So, now we'll get into Spoofy's section. He already mixed his ad-libs and all that stuff. They're already there. It's just the main vocals that I did. And then we'll get into the master. So starting with Spoofy's verse, same thing as mine. Start with a de-esser. It didn't really need a gate. Plus, I used the gate in Xvox just to limit that background sound. I put a little Melodyne because I wanted to mess with his melody that he sung a little bit. We just changed it a little bit. Nothing too crazy. So, obviously, de-essing into... Well, Melodyne should be at the top. Melodyne into de-essing into auto-tune into a EQ. His vocals did need a little bit more cutting in the surgical side, but we just cut out some sections in the both mid side, but it wasn't stereoed yet, and then we threw it into Xvox. 70% widening, 30% enhancing. This is basically the thing I do at the end just to bring it all out, but goated knob, retro, basically the same Xbox that I was using for my mains, except the color I think is a little different. And then we threw, I don't know why I used Pro Q3 for this one. I really like this EQ. But we rolled off 70 hertz. Took out a few more.
Destroying everything that I love because I live a paranoia.
I think I was doing it because I really like this whole purple. It shows you what needs to get cut and all that. That's basically up until the last two plugins, which is a saturator and a dynamic EQ. Now, what do we use? Warm tape, basically always. Boosted presence, treble, bit of mid, and just dropped the bass just a tiny bit because I heard a little rumble in his voice. And then, yeah, this is the mid side for it, and this is the side for it. And then all together, plus the limiter, should sound like this.
Destroying everything that I love because I live a paranoia. Every time that you talk with no purpose, I don't know ya.
Sick. And then after that, routed it to a bus too, just to bring it through. And then activated his ad-libs, which he mixed, but I just added a little bit of unison, a little bit of saturation, and then limiting just to keep them tucked. And now we have this.
Crazy we fucked in California. Tab on my tongue with you on my mind, I feel like I'm falling, yeah.
I didn't want to do too much because I already liked what he mixed. I didn't want to like over process them or any of that, but I like how it sounds in the end. So after all of that, usually I would bounce it, but I decided because my CPU would let me, I mixed it, or excuse me, I mastered it inside of the project itself, which I find it actually sounds better most of the time for me, but I still advise people to try and bounce their stems and master them in a separate project. So to start it all off, we did a EQ. Oh, I could do this. Whoa, I didn't know I could do this. Whoa, okay. So rolled off 20 hertz and 20k hertz. Cut off a little bit at 378, 1000, and 1400. And over here, we also did 70. Didn't like how the bass was sounding in stereo. Cut a little 70, 200, boosted about 2000, and cut 4.7 and 2800. Usually this is just a little test EQ. The mix already sounded pretty good, so I wasn't gonna over EQ. Rolled that into a Xbox compressor just to glue it all together. That sounds like this. Very subtle, like very subtle, but already the mix was sounding good, so I knew the master would have been simple. Then we threw on another effects. I was really liking this Xbox effects. This is when the update rolled out. I was checking all the new stuff. 15%, 15% for the Tube XL, just to give it a little more grain and beef to it. That sounds like this. Here's it on. Basically, if you don't hear it, it just pushes it forward sounding. I would advise you wear headphones. I should have said that at the start, but just pushes it forward a little bit. Mastering's supposed to be subtle, at least in my opinion. Then, Pultec EQ. We boosted. Where did we boost? I'm still new to Pultecs. We did. Oops. It was at 1.5 at 60 hertz, and then 16K at 2. So very subtle, but enough to drive that low end and a little bit of that high end, because it was already a very high song. No reason to crank it. Cool. Pretty nice. And to finish it off, we did 7% separated stereo enhancer and a Ozone 11 limiter with these settings. I'm still very new to this plugin. I don't know if I'm using it right, but yeah. And then we put on the loudness meter to check. And last time I checked, I don't know what I'm supposed to be looking for. I've heard so many different things, like you need your love set a certain spot, this and that. It sounds good. It's not like destroying my headphones. It's not blowing my ears out. There's like a little bit of peaking. I don't know if these are like necessarily bad, but that is basically it. That's the mix and the master all in one. And if we want to look at the, so we can do it in here. We can look at the song itself. Looks pretty balanced to me. Could be a little more up here. That's basically it. Thanks for watching. If you want any more specific songs broken down, showing you how I did the mix, the master, the beat, whatever, leave it in the comments. I'm gonna be cranking these out. I'm gonna be real, but I would love some personalized ideas from y'all. So thank you very much for watching. If you learned anything, let me know what you learned. And if you need any help with mixing, mastering, you need a little course, let me know. I don't mind making videos on that stuff either. But yeah, till next time.